Welcome back. This is Spiritual Actualization. I'm Will Rucker, and in today's video, I share with you what's been on my heart for a while, and that is, why is it so hard to talk to each other when we disagree? I'm going to give you some tips on how to do that a little bit better, so stay tuned. I've got my green tea. Let's get into this. If I had to guess, I would say there are probably 100 billion different religions. No, I'm totally kidding. I know there are not that many. At least I hope there aren't that many. But there are a lot, right? And what do we do when we disagree? I got a question this week at a panel I was on, and they asked, given that God is supposed to be the absolute truth, and so many different religions claim that their holy book is the truth, how do you have a conversation with these completely contradictory viewpoints? And so, of course, in that setting, I didn't even get into it. I'm like, first of all, we got to back up to what is God and all of that, what is truth? So we didn't even go there. I'm like, you don't have enough time. So for the sake of this conversation, let's just talk about the pieces that work together. And I dealt with the fact that every major religion says the same thing at its core, which is be kind to one another. You've heard of the golden rule, right? Love others the way you want to be loved yourself, or do unto others the way you want to have them do unto you. Then, of course, it's the platinum rule and some other variations, but that's basically the point in every religion. And so I said, take the pieces that fit together and start there. Trust me, there are enough of those where if you put the ones you have that work together, then things will be great and you can deal with these extra pieces later. Well, of course, people are like, wow, that's such a good answer. And I'm like, it's just scratching the surface. So I said, let me make the video about this. How do we talk to each other when we disagree? Do we have to cast someone as a demon because they have a different viewpoint? And I suggest that the answer to that question is no. In fact, I think that that's very counterproductive. You've heard of the example of the blind men touching an elephant. One had his tail, one had his trunk, another had his leg, and another was feeling his side. Each of them reported back on what they had discovered as the ultimate truth. One said, oh, I've got a snake. One said, I've got a fire hose. One said, I've got a tree. One said, I've got a wall. They were all absolutely right. And they were all totally wrong. They had a piece of the elephant. They didn't have the entire pie, so to speak. So it's important to recognize that, yes, you have a piece of truth, and so does the person you disagree with. And truth be told, you probably don't even disagree at a fundamental level. You may disagree on how things should be carried out. You may disagree on the perspectives or what action or idea should come first. But when we really look at what drives us, the core values we hold are very, very similar. And in fact, they're not just similar, they're complementary, meaning they complement each other. They go together. They work in harmony. You know, I believe in this bridge building idea where we don't have to tear down those we disagree with, but we can build bridges so that we can all end up in the same place together. Like, I'm not for this wall, like this unfriending thing that's happening. I feel like a valley girl, like totally valley, like I keep saying like, but no, in all seriousness, this idea that, well, we disagree, so I'm going to unfriend you is ruining our culture. It's ruining our communities. The fact that it's so easy to just distance yourself from someone that brings a different point of view is making us almost incapable of rational thought. We are becoming so pigeonholed in our own viewpoints. We live in these echo chambers that just reverberate the things we agree with. And now we think we're emboldened to believe we're more right than we are. You may have heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect, where those that are exceptionally skilled measure themselves as less skilled than they are, and those that are not skilled at all rank themselves really, really high. Well, the same thing is kind of happening with our social media. What is Facebook trying to do? It's trying to keep you on their platform. What does Twitter want? They want to keep you using Twitter. Heck, what does YouTube want? It promotes the videos that people are watching so that more people watch. It's the craziest and most ingenious thing at the same time. If you start talking about kittens and pets, you'll start seeing more kittens and pets. It's just the way this algorithm works. And it's destroying us because we think that all there is in the world now are kittens and pets, when in reality, there are scorpions and non-pets. I don't know what the difference, but there are things that are happening. There are truths out there that we don't even see because our social media is showing us the things that we've liked historically. So this echo chamber just keeps coming and it gets louder and louder. And then when someone finally does penetrate this, and perhaps using a political conversation, maybe they state a fact about the fact we've been in a upward spiral for 129 straight months, 10 years. Our economy has been improving month after month after month. Then that person is then vilified by someone that's supportive of the current administration and saying, no, this just started with the current president and you're a hater because you gave me a fact I don't agree with. It's crazy. And it's happening more and more. When someone finally breaks through that bubble, when something comes up and now Facebook is fact checking, people are saying it's a conspiracy. They don't even want the truth. They don't even want to hear something that is an affront to their perspective. But why is that? It's because it's really an affront on their identity. We believe that who we are is what we think and our viewpoints, but that's not who we are. That's perhaps how we're expressing in the moment, but we are so much more than just our thoughts and ideas and our political affiliation or our religious affiliation. We are infinite, eternal, immortal beings that are energy that have incarnated in this realm at this time and are having this earthly human experience. So we're way bigger than what party we check on the box. And even if you don't want to go that far out there, we're so much more than our political or religious affiliation. We are our parents' children and our children's parents and our siblings' and all of these other facets. We're creative and artistic. We're intellectual and reasoning. We're so much more than just one thing. But when your identity is confronted, it feels like a death. If you have to change your mind about something, it feels like you're dying. And part of that is an evolutionary function because we've developed to stick to what we know is true because it's helped us in the past. And the world has changed so much that now it is actually a hindrance. And we have to continue to evolve so that we don't continue to stick to what we've always stuck to because it worked in the past, because it doesn't work in the world that we're in. Our world is changing so rapidly that what worked 5 years ago, heck, what worked 5 months ago may not work today. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you're a bad person because you were wrong. And a lot of people are so insecure. They lack the self-esteem and the fortitude to know that they can make mistakes and still be a decent human being. And that's the thing about it. We all make mistakes. It doesn't mean we're not perfect. What makes us perfect is our love. That's why we're perfect, because we're love beings. Nothing can take away your perfection, not even jumping off a skyscraper. Nothing can take that away from you. I don't know why I chose that random example, but whoever's listening that was thinking about doing it, please don't jump off a skyscraper. Continue to live and enjoy life, have life. It gets better, I promise. But whatever your big mistake is, it doesn't take away who you are. You're still perfect. You're still so worthy of love. And you are still so loved. The entire universe exists to love you. It may not feel that way. The circumstances may not look that way, but that is the ultimate truth and the ultimate reality. So just because we disagree on how we perceive the world and how we perceive events doesn't mean there's something wrong with us. It doesn't mean that you're smarter than me or I'm dumber than you or any of those things, though that could very well be the case. Your intellect doesn't have anything to do with your value. It may have something to do with your function, but nothing to do with your value. So trying to hold on to these identities is literally killing us. It's driving wedges in between relationships that were once healthy, and it's causing us to break apart. Have you ever seen a healthy patch of grass? It's so intertwined. And if you were able to look under it, you would see that the roots are interconnected and they hold each other together. That's why when you pull it up, the whole dirt seems to lift because the grass has grown together in community. Well, God has given us that example to learn from. We are like the blades of grass. We should be like that, living in community. If you go to the rainforest, even the trees, as massive as they are, if you look underground, their roots interconnect, and science is proving that they now share nutrients and the things that they need are passed back and forth because they're working in community. Well, that's how we're supposed to be. Well, I may disagree with your approach, but do I really disagree with the value that you take? I think there's a wrong idea that there are some people that reject everyone should have health care. Everyone I've talked to believes everyone should have health care. Some believe that it should be employer provided. Some believe that, people should have to buy it for themselves. Some believe the government should do it. It's a myriad of ways it should be provided. But every single person I have talked to on this issue, even those we adamantly disagree politically, all agree that everyone should have adequate health care. But why is this driving us apart? Our approach to giving it? No, we should start at the commonplace that says, I believe everyone should be covered, and then work out how that happens from there. But instead, what is happening more and more is people are saying, I disagree with the way you view healthcare, so you are a horrible person. No, they're not a horrible person. You just disagree. And it's okay to disagree. One of the worst things that I think we've done as a society is we've stopped talking about politics and religion publicly. You don't go to work and talk about your faith. You don't talk about your politics there. Instead, we talk about sports and still manage to fight, but that's another talk show. But we should have been taught how to have these difficult conversations in a way that is civil. Right? We should have been taught to talk about our differences in a way that celebrates the diversity they bring while still acknowledging, hey, that's not my flavor. And speaking of flavor, that's really what all of this is about. Some people prefer sweet, some people prefer salty. It doesn't mean that anything is wrong with whatever perspective you take. And if we just got it to that basic of a level, I think the world would work much better together. Now, I have to throw this in because it's important to recognize some people simply don't have the capacity to care for others. That is a brain disease. They have a sickness, just like it would be cancer or pneumonia, but it's a brain disease that causes them not to be able to feel and to empathize. We call that psychopathy. And that is not something that should be demonized. It is also something that should not be glorified and should not be placed in positions of power. So when you recognize psychopathy or sociopathy or narcissism or some of these traits that are mental illnesses, that person should not serve in a leadership position that demands serving the public. That's what this is all about, is really serving each other. If you don't have that mental capacity to do it, how do you lead others to do it? You simply cannot. That doesn't mean you're not valuable. That doesn't mean you're not loved. That doesn't mean you don't have a purpose in this world. It just means your purpose is different than that. And that's okay. Just like everyone has a particular favorite style of music or a style of food or a favorite color, just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean you shouldn't be valued for that thing and you should try to do something else because this pays more. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying with this? You see where I'm trying to go? I hope that you hear the heart of this and recognize that we are all in this together, whether we like it or not. So we better figure out how to get along, how to have conversations where we have differing viewpoints and we bring them together so that we end up with something super special. I'm fabulous all by myself, darling. I am absolutely fabulous, and I know it. But I'm so much better with you. I really am. I'm so much better in community. I'm so much better when I have other viewpoints, other vantage points, other perspectives. You see, if we were all the exact same, what joy would there be in life? What color would there be? What spice would there be? We are all the exact same because we're all different. That's what makes us the same. Our differences are actually what make us the same. So as we celebrate diversity, we shouldn't be just celebrating our differences. We should embrace them. I'm not talking about erasure, acting as if differences don't exist. Yes, you should see color and you should celebrate it. And what we really should celebrate in diversity is how all of these different colors complement each other. When you look at a beautiful painting, there are probably hundreds of colors in it. But guess what? You don't celebrate the individual colors. You don't celebrate the individual strokes the artist took. You celebrate the painting as a whole. Now, you may talk about the colors in art class and the different techniques used, but what you celebrate is the body, the work of art. The same with the songs. You listen to Beyonce. Hey, single lady, oh, I'm a single lady. Beyonce. Yeah. You listen to Beyonce and you don't say, wow, that's an amazing hi-hat. Well, some of us do, like, oh, that's a really good hi-hat they picked. But really what you're listening to is the totality of the work, the diversity that is brought by the different instruments, the different textures and colors and rhythms and nuances that are there. Well, we have to start recognizing that each of us is a color, each of us is a note, each of us is an instrument in this world, and we all have our unique purpose. And when we come together, when we form that symphony together, it is so much greater than we would ever be apart. So let's learn to talk through our differences. Don't demonize someone just because they see something different than you see it. Don't call them a traitor or a hater or any of these things that we're so quick to do just because we see things differently. Embrace the different. And in fact, learn, since we're spiritual beings and we're supposed to be empaths and things, right? Learn to feel what they feel, see what they see. Put yourself in the same position as they are in. Now, you can't put yourself in their shoes. You can try, but I guarantee you it doesn't fit. Your circumstances are going to be just a little different. And even if it did fit, the way your foot is shaped is just a little bit different than theirs. So it's going to feel different. Your experience is going to be different. But that doesn't mean we can't all face in the same direction so that we can have our eyes on the same prize, which should be a world that works for everyone. So I'm so grateful that you've taken the time to listen to this video. I hope that you've hit the like button. Please comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. Am I just woo-woo crazy? Is this too much to ask? Is it impossible now for us to disagree without being disagreeable? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and share this video. As I always say, you are not just a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. I love you. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next video.